Hello. This podcast is not for kids. This is a podcast where four friends get together and try to amaze each other with facts about the world or how we found out those facts about the world enough that somebody else on the podcast will say,
Holy fucking science.
I'm Hank Green, and this is a show in which we talk about cool science things that we've scienced. And today our topic of the day is biomimicry, which was suggested by...
It was on the idea sheet.
The document.
Oh, no, actually, it was all my idea.
Was it your idea?
Yeah, I can't remember why it was my idea.
This
there was
Sam-
something cartoon-based that
Was it not the thing that
idea.
you're talking about right now?
Is it your topic?
No, it was
that?
not this.
Oh.
Okay. Was it something to do with hermit crabs?
Nope, I don't think so.
We are joined today by four folks. I'm Hank Green. We have also got Stefan Chin.
Hey.
What's your tagline?
I'm here.
What's your handle?
We've got Sam Schultz. What's your tagline?
Ooh, word.
And Ceri Riley. What's your
Hello.
tagline, Ceri? She looks so scared.
Very anxious.
That's a good tagline.
That's excellent. I was right about how you looked, though.
Yeah, that's my face.
And behind the camera and the soundboard is Caitlin Hofmeister. Thanks for pushing buttons for us there, Caitlin.
What's your tagline?
Oh, boys, oh, boys.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
I thought you, okay. I was like, boys only. What?
No girls allowed.
no girls allowed.
All right, so we're talking about biomimicry today. Sorry. And that was suggested by Sam, but apparently long enough ago that he didn't even use the topic he was excited about back then. And
Monday of this week.
so the person who's going to be going first is going to be picked by who was in the room first.
No.
That's not
tricked
dramatic.
me.
I did. So Sam was in the room first.
I was second.
Ceri was second.
I was third.
I
then,
was
guess.
I was fourth because Marianne was like, Hank, I need to talk to you about. And I was like, you're making me late, friend. So that's the. Are you ready, Sam?
Yeah, I don't entirely understand mine.
Well,
I kind of do.
We'll understand
you
it
weren't
together.
going to understand more of it by waiting and going last.
Yeah, but I could have been more nervous about it. Which I
That's
would have had
my
more
tagline.
beers in me, which would have been
Oh.
better. The more beers,
Drink
the better.
faster.
Go, 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 go.
All right, so the way your brain works
Oh.
This is gonna be
involves.
complicated. Okay.
Yeah,
It
as soon as
is-
it
it is-
rains, I'm like, oh God.
Yep.
Okay, it's a little bit complicated. I'm going to read the article, basically. So, we got these things called neurons, and they fire electric thingies between the two.
Yep.
What are those things called? Synapses. That's the one. It's a synapse.
The synapse is the gap.
And-
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the gap. Okay, so that is how your brain sends information, correct? Is that right so
Well,
far?
neurotransmitters go across the synapse. Like chemicals go across the synapse. Electricity is within the neurons.
Yes.
Whoa. Okay. The National Institute of Standards and Technology in Colorado built a fake synapse, like, what's the word?
Is it a
An
device?
artificial synapse. Yeah, it's a
Okay.
device that can form the same kind of connections that our brains can that allow us to remember things quickly and to get better at things.
Mm-hmm.
So
Is it a physical thing and is it very big?
it's a physical thing and it's very tiny.
Okay.
So it's a metallic cylinder that has these two metal things on either end, and then the middle is filled with some kind of conductor that's also filled with these metallic shavings, and the more times that the electric impulse goes through them, the more those shavings get pointed the same direction.
Okay.
So it takes less energy for the thing to go through them.
Mm-hmm. And this is one of the sort of the mechanisms of how brains work. Is the more you use certain pathways,
Yeah, there's a
the
threshold.
more
that
you
goes
use
down.
certain pathways, and the easier it gets to activate those pathways.
Right. So
And we think
They-
that may have something to do with memory, but it definitely has something to do with just like figuring out how to do things like walk and talk and gesture with your hands and
right.
stuff.
So these things can fire like 1 billion times per second compared to
dang.
50 times per second on humans. And they use less than 1 attojoule.
I don't even know that.
That's
What
So
is
cool.
that
it's
unit?
very tiny.
Must be very small.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think what ultimately they would like to do, what this article says, but I didn't really like follow it once I got deeper into it,
Uh-huh.
was put them into self-driving cars
Sure.
so that they can learn how to make like decisions as to whether to hit somebody or hurt the person.
How many points is this
Or
one
hurt the
worth?
Wait a
person
second, Sam.
between hurt the person
Between-
in the car and hurt the person out of the
Okay,
car,
yeah.
which would be worse. And so that they can make some kind of AI that can make medical diagnoses.
Sure, just like better AI is
Yeah.
the idea.
AI that can take situations and have some kind of database of old situations and then run through that really quickly. But the practical application for it right now is chips that would allow for AI like Ceri to not be in the cloud, but to be on our phones.
Okay.
Because they take way too much energy right now for our phones to be able to do them. And that's why you have to push and hold the button and it connects to the
goes
cloud
to
and all
the
that stuff.
internet, yeah.
But instead, we could have miniature AI that would be able to have some kind of machine learning and wouldn't have to be connected to
Yeah.
the internet,
Mm.
which I guess maybe companies wouldn't like so much because they like to be.
Making
Right?
you
Well, I'm
you
sure.
connected.
They'd have
Well,
to
I
connect
mean,
every now and
They
then.
like
Yeah.
whatever will make you buy a phone, basically. That's really their favorite thing is when it's like, I'd prefer this phone to that one. So if that means
But so then
taking Siri offline, I don't think they'd mind.
to get to that point, it's not just a single.
Yeah, you need a bunch.
You need like a network.
Yeah, that's where I started to not understand it exactly. But they're developing chips with it already.
Huh.
And they developed chips that they were testing some kind of robotic arm and robotic eyes that could see things and then write them down. And somehow it wasn't like it was an AI that was observing the world around it and then writing down what it saw with its robotic arm. So there are chips that exist that are small enough to fit into things and they use very little energy like 1,000 times less energy than the chips do now. And it's not based on like chips now have the timed like ping back and forth, I guess. And these wouldn't have that. They'd have some kind of more fluid way.
And this is all based on, like, they basically were like, here's how neurons work. Can we duplicate
Yeah.
that? Can we
Yes.
figure out a way to
And they
sort of
did.
make a computer that works the way that
Yeah.
the human brain does, except that we can have the efficiencies of not being totally biochemically based?
Right.
Yeah, it
Which
sounds
is-
like myelination to me specifically, which is
Tell me what myelination is.
myelination is like. I don't think we fully understand it, but it's like the outer sheath of neurons, and so that's what you were describing. Or that's what it sounded like you were describing with all the metal particles that line up. Because I think how neural pathways work is if they are used more often, then more protein builds up on the outside of them to like solidify those connections. So it's like it is a biochemical thing, but the structure of neurons physically changes to make signaling easier and faster
Yeah.
along
right.
certain pathways.
Yeah, it was talking about some kind of energy threshold that they can, and in the computer chip one, they can turn off the pathways really easily too, which I guess is probably helpful somehow.
Yeah.
But
It would be. Yeah, I mean, and the way that neurons fire, the way that they sort of trigger the release of their neurotransmitter between synapses is an activation energy where you have to have a certain amount of energy, like potential difference between one part of the cell and another part of the cell. And it sort of like, once you reach that threshold, all of the neurotransmitters get dumped. And if you don't quite get to that threshold, then they don't. But if you have these myelinated like neurons, then that threshold is easier to reach, I
Right.
think. And so that would be a way for to take that idea and put it into a constructible computer-based system that we could build using our technology, using like sort of man technology, human technology that duplicates that sort of same thing, where like the activation energy, once you use it and once it becomes useful and like the brain is understanding, like is sort of like recording what systems are working best, then that activation energy gets lower, and so the signal is more likely to follow down that pathway. That's what it sounds
Right.
like to me, which is pretty cool. And also is like, shit, when do we have to start thinking to ourselves, I can't kill my car because it's a person?
oh no.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God.
Yeah, because it's like no longer running a program that's like making decisions, that's probably
Basically
why.
how the YouTube algorithm works already. Is it a human? No. Is it alive? Maybe.
Seems like it is.
Like,
Everyone seems scared of it.
I have felt for a long time that people are like, well, of course computer programs aren't alive. And I'm like, well, but like bacteria are. And they like, I don't feel bad about killing a bacteria. So the question of whether it's alive, I'm kind of like, I think maybe it is. It's just that it doesn't matter yet because it's just like brushing your teeth.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a big deal to kill a computer program, even if it's a living one.
Huh.
I've thought that Google was alive for about 5 years now. About maybe 2010 even. I was like, I think Google is alive. I just don't think it matters yet.
Well, it'll spare you when it becomes self-aware.
Oh, they'll definitely spare me because I'm a great spokesperson.
Wow.
Wait, do you want a quick little bonus one real quick? Oh, what were you going to say?
I was just gonna say I would imagine that like the consciousness wouldn't be contained to the car.
But
You
it
could
sounds
just-
like it
But this
is.
Well,
is- yeah.
But I could take the
Can
chip
you
out.
take the chip
Right.
out and then move it to a different car?
But can I take the chip out and hit it with a hammer, and would I go to jail then?
And if you take the
don't
chip out and it's not connected to
Or-
a power source, is it like stuck in purgatory?
I mean,
or
I go to
something?
sleep every night.
Well, okay.
Yeah, your
but
the whole body doesn't
your
go to
brain's
sleep.
still doing
Those
stuff.
stuff's
My
happening.
my body, I ship of Theseus, man. I feel like I die every night, and I wake up, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm still me.
Okay, so I learned that praying mantises are the only, what's the backbone thing?
Vertebrate?
Vertebrate?
Only invertebrate that
Oh.
have stereoscopic vision,
What?
and or at least what humans would understand and like think of as stereoscopic vision.
Weird.
So they, I don't know, they just do. And so they did some tests on praying mantises to try to figure out how their tiny brain processed all that information. And to do it, they put little tiny 3D glasses on them and played movies for it, and it was really cool. But they want to use that to try to figure out how to make phones be able to see in 3D because their brains are so small. Like it's miniaturized tech, basically.
Huh.
So then they can make tiny, tiny cameras that have stereoscopic visions. Or like computers that can understand it. But the 3D glasses were cute. All this stuff that's gonna kill us someday.
I like the part where you almost said praying manta rays.
Their names are really similar. What does manta mean?
I don't know.
Man.
Manta etymology. Sorry, everyone. Ceri, you go. I'm going to look this up.
I go while you're looking up manta. Mine has nothing to do with that.
I know, but like it'll be a nice
surprise in the middle.
Yes.
Completely unrelated. Okay. Well, what do brine shrimp, some nematodes, and yeast have in common?
Ooh.
Little.
Brine, shrimp,
Salty.
nematodes, and yeast. They are all organisms.
Yep.
Can they like dry out and
Carbon-based.
come back to life? Is
That's
that
it.
Oh, Sam got
Sam
it.
got it.
Ah.
They could dry out and come back to life.
Yeah.
It's funny. Mine also can do that, the thing that I'm going to talk about.
Oh,
Ooh.
Yeah, but you go, because
Well-
it sounds like they're different.
we'll see.
Are brine shrimp sea monkeys?
They're not sea monkeys, but they're like similarly sold. They're sold in a little pack.
What
Okay,
are
so you
sea
can buy,
monkeys?
I don't know. Oh yeah,
Did
it
you
is a
think
brand
sea-
name for brine
Did you
shrimp.
think sea monkeys were real?
No, I thought they were a separate small little thing. Just like you can
I
buy.
think they were actually monkeys that
The
lived
little,
in the sea.
the little
Yeah.
guys with the things on their heads.
like just wearing little diving suits or something. I don't know.
They don't need them. They're mer creatures.
They're little mermaids is what they are. So yeah, they can all be dried out and like have all the water sucked out of them and survive somehow. And so scientists have been looking into like this is a really weird thing because normally if something dries out, all of its stuff will just like collapse and start fusing together. Like if we dried out, all of our cells would just like squish together since we're so much water, like membranes would collapse and things would explode or proteins would fuse together and nothing would work anymore. But they can dry out and then be rehydrated and everything will just like work fine. And the reason for that is because of a sugar inside of them called trehalose, which is just very cool to me. The fact that like a sugar is the reason that they can be dried out.
But how?
Do you know what it does?
Yeah.
What does it do?
Trehalose is a disaccharide, which means it's 2 sugar molecules joined together, and it's 2 glucose molecules. So it's actually very similar to maltose, I think, is the other disaccharide with 2 glucoses, but it's just bonded differently. And what scientists, I'm pretty sure that it does, is it basically fills the space of water molecules in cells. So as water disappears, it gets dried out, then molecules of trehalose slip into the spaces and bond similarly. Like they form hydrogen bonds with all the proteins and phospholipids in the membranes and just form that structure.
It takes on the role of water in a way.
Yeah.
What is it doing when the creature is hydrated? Like, where are those sugars?
I think it's just
Are
Floating
they,
around.
like-
yeah, it forms up to 15 to 20% of cellular dry weight, so there's a lot. I'm guessing that it just kind of like floats around in cells. We have a lot of room in there for stuff to float around. So I think it just hangs out in their bodies.
but then it's enough to like.
Can I eat
maintain-
trehalose?
You can. I think it's like a sugar substitute in some things. I don't know if there are side effects, but it's sweet. So yeah, and what's extra interesting is that it forms what scientists are calling a molecular glass. So like the structure with water removed and trehalose bonded to it forms what's chemically considered a glass. And I think that means that it's an amorphous material. So it has like a relatively hard and brittle state when it's a certain temperature. But if it was to be heated up, then things would start slipping past each other and it would become molten like the glass that we know. But like a lot of things can be glassy chemically, not just like window glass.
Wait,
Are other sugars
do they do this?
glasses chemically? Like, what else would fall under that category? Because I feel like if you heated up sugar enough, but then like also if you, well, then you get some creme brulee.
Well, I mean, like you could have sugar glass as a thing, right? That they use in like props for movies.
Yeah.
It's just like glass that's made of sugar and it doesn't cut you.
Yeah.
I don't know. It might not
I
actually
think
be
it
made of
is.
sugar.
Sounds
Oh.
good to me.
Yeah.
And you can build really big gingerbread houses out of it.
Yeah.
Gingerbread greenhouses.
Ooh. What?
There's no actual gingerbread. It's just sugar.
Just sugar greenhouses.
You put
yeah.
an atrium on your gingerbread house.
Yeah, an atrium out the back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or just windows.
Yeah.
So are dried out shrimps glass?
And are they sweet?
Maybe
yeah.
to both.
Yeah. You can just pop 'em
Probably.
in.
Maybe probably to both. I'll go up to from
Go all
maybe
the
to
way to
probably.
Yeah. It's
So-
it's just nature's candy.
Yeah, it's probably more crunchy than sweet. I don't
Crunchy.
know. I don't know how.
Well, good. All the best candies have a little crunch.
Yeah, if you just
Yeast
ate the
isn't
shrimp
sweet at all,
eggs.
though.
That's true.
Skittles.
I don't know.
Is it? I don't think it is.
I've never eaten just like a spoonful of yeast.
They do that. It's a thing.
Put it on popcorn.
Yeah, they put it on popcorn.
Well,
in Missoula, like I moved to
Nutritional
Missoula.
yeast?
Yeah, and people like throwing
Yeah.
nutritional yeast on popcorn, and I'm like, why did you just do that?
Because it's cheesy.
Because you like
There's
beer.
butter and salt
Well-
in your refrigerator. The salt isn't even in your refrigerator.
Yeah,
it's
but
on
if
the
you're
counter.
if you're trying to be vegan,
Yes, if you are trying to be vegan,
Yeah.
which I have not tried to do.
Or if you're trying to be hip and you're going to a artsy movie theater.
Yeah, does the Roxy have nutritional yeast?
Yeah. I think they have different flavors of nutritional
Oh my
yeast.
God.
Oh man.
actually, Pie
whoops.
Hole has it too
Well,
for pizza. There's already
Weird.
cheese on the pizza.
yeah, it's not vegan.
All carbohydrates are not sweet, so
That is
I would
correct.
say
Yes.
that
It's
maybe
probably
it's
not
not
sweet.
necessarily
Yeah.
sweet.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
Revised
also
answer.
this stuff. Trehalose is in artificial tears. So when you put like Visine in your eyes.
Well, I don't know if Visine is an artificial tear.
Oh well,
I
yes,
agree with that,
Stefan
yeah.
would know.
It's like an anti-reddening thing, but
Yeah.
it's a vasoconstrictor. It like constricts
yeah.
your blood
Okay.
vessels, so your eyes don't look red, but they're more
but
irritated.
they're more irritated.
What?
Artificial tears are for moistening and relief.
Okay.
which I need.
Yeah, Stefan.
Got the dry eye.
I was going to transition with dry, but I couldn't think of something. Very anxiety ahoy. So
That's a good tagline too. Anxiety ahoy.
I like that tagline better. I'm going to revise mine to that. So the reason why this is useful, why trehalose is useful, and what we're stealing from these animals is that sometimes we need to freeze dry things or preserve things, especially when it comes to medicine. And that is a huge, huge, huge problem in getting things like platelets, which are like all the clotting factors in your blood, or vaccines to other countries. They need to, or countries without a really robust cold storage system, because oftentimes for these medicine things to work, they need to be, like all the molecular stuff inside need to be kept intact. And in the case of like vaccines, whether they're the killed type or the like inactivated type, like the proteins need to stay intact, so they usually need to stay within a certain temperature range. They can't get too hot, or the proteins will denature. They can't get too cold, because then things will also mess up. And so they need a way to lock those structures into place and keep them like frozen in glass. And
then you just like drip a little water on them, and they're back to norms.
Yeah, and then everything works just fine again. And that.
Did they have to like inject the trehalose into it before, or can it just be in solution? Probably just in solution, because it's just a saccharide. It'll get into the cell, maybe.
Yeah, usually it seems like what they've done in studies that have tried freeze drying platelets and influenza vaccine and a couple other diseases like test diseases, what they do is mix the trehalose into solution and then dry it out onto like a membrane or something like that. So with the influenza, they dried it onto microneedles, and I couldn't find a picture of it, so I don't know exactly what this is because medicine isn't my specialty, but it sounded like it's something like a patch with microneedles on and a film of the vaccine, so you could just like slap it onto someone, and then it would inject into their body would rehydrate it, and then it would work as a vaccine, which sounds super cool.
I like it.
And then the other vaccines
Doesn't even have any needles involved.
Yeah,
Well,
they're like
what's it do?
microneedles, tiny
just
needles.
like tiny abrasions in you that let out enough blood for it to soak into you.
You probably don't even get that far past the really tip-top layers of the skin.
Yeah,
Right.
just like enough to get the stuff inside you.
Hypo spray.
Whoa.
Yeah, and then
What is that?
It's from Star Trek.
Oh, I thought it was from Pokemon.
hyper potions. Yeah, the other ones they tested were attenuated pox virus and deleted human adenovirus. I'm not sure what diseases those are exactly, but those they just like dried the vaccine onto a membrane, and then it sounded like they like stuck the needle and just had like a water solution inside the needle and then like pushed it through the membrane, and then that reactivated the vaccine. They didn't test it in mice or anything. They just like squirted water through and then saw what was on the other side, and it was reactivated vaccine.
I was thinking when you were talking about the membrane is those little like weird, terrifying breath freshener
Oh yeah.
sheets.
Yeah.
You, like,
they're
put on your tongue.
The little like
Listerine strips.
yeah, they're called strips.
Yeah.
And then they put them on your tongue, and then they just like and they turn into goo on your tongue. I was thinking about that, except with the vaccine.
That's probably like it. That's how the platelets work, I think, where it just like is a freeze-dried platelet, so then they
Just a-
dump water and then it becomes
Gooey
goo.
goop.
Yeah.
Weird.
And you put it in your mouth, and you're like, platelets. Get me
Platelets.
I'm better now.
I feel
Little
better.
clot there.
I am better from whatever not
And then
having
you're-
platelets makes happen to you.
And your stomach is like, what am I gonna do with this now?
I'm gonna poop it out.
This is food, I guess.
Could we? Well, can we get them through? Can we make a vaccine chip and just eat the chip? And then,
Like a potato chip?
not a computer chip.
Yeah. I mean,
Give me a vaccine chip any day. In fact, any chips.
Any
Just
chip.
like sour cream and onion is okay. I'm up for that. Doesn't have to actually cure disease. I'm fine.
they could like give you a chip while they stuck it into your blood.
Okay,
That's right.
I don't know.
That's fine.
That
That'd
should
be
be how it works.
Yeah.
I'm gonna next time I get my blood drawn, I'm gonna be like, you better fucking have some fucking chips.
Wow.
Cindy.
Just bring
She's
your own
actually
chips.
lovely. I like her a lot. I'm
Cool
sorry. I
arrangement.
feel
Is it
bad for
actually
Cindy now.
Cindy?
She's not actually named
Oh,
Cindy.
okay.
But
Her
I know
name
all
has been
I know all of
changed.
the phlebotomists at the hospital by now.
Oh,
Getting those pokes.
nose pokes.
Getting those pokes.
Oh,
Don't you
They
know
can only
Stefan?
Why are they
take blood
poking
from
your
my
nose?
nose
Blood
now.
from your nose.
All my other veins collapsed.
Oh my
it just
God.
knows.
You should get that
It
checked
hurts
out.
so bad. My eyes water. No.
Because you pick your nose so much, it's always bleeding.
Wow.
Scoop it up.
Wow.
I hate all these images.
So can we make ourselves dry?
Can we freeze dry our whole bodies?
Yeah.
No one has ever tried it, but I mean,
No.
like with this sugar, I don't know. So like tardigrades don't use this sugar. They have a special thing. They have a special tardigrade specific protein that makes them dry out. So maybe with some combination of like sugar plus if we design a human specific glassifying protein, we could dry out and freeze dry ourselves, and then they could like take us out of the packet, dunk us in water.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'd like to be very dry. As dry
I mean,
as possible.
I'm glad that you live in Missoula, Montana then, because the wintertime is pretty much as like my skin starts to fall off.
Yeah, mine's getting real bad.
Yeah.
Butte is always dry the whole year round. So you're just flaking away.
Yeah. That's why they all look like that.
Yeah, flaking away. Skeleton faces.
Just rough.
Yeah, my parents have skeleton faces, so just to warn you.
Yeah, just can you load up a picture on your phone for us so we can see that. And in the meantime, I'm going to tell you about the origin of the word mantis and manta, which are not at all related.
Really?
Oh.
It appears, not as far as I've been able to decipher. Mantis actually comes from, in addition to being the praying, like it's in there, praying, but also mantis is a prophet or a diviner, one who speaks with the divine.
Really?
So that's like, it's from like the word for passion and spirit, which ends up with things like the word, the suffixes mancy, like erythromancy and that stuff, and
Necromancy.
also mania.
Whoa.
Is also from the same root.
So their name is kind of praying prayer.
Yeah, praying prophet. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Whereas manta comes from the word for blanket because it looks like a
Oh, I think I
I
knew
like that.
from SciShow Kids.
blanket. Sam already
That sounds
knew
very
that one.
familiar. Yeah.
And I can't see. I could not find a way in which those words were related, but in the end, everything's related. Stefan, what's your thing?
If you lost your legs and you had to replace them, and you could choose any animal
I like it. It's a great hypothetical.
animals-
Like to replace my legs.
to replace your legs with that animal's form of locomotion.
Okay, but I mean, there's only so many bipedal animals. I feel like if I got
could be-
horse legs, I just fall over a lot. Because like you need all 4 horse legs to be a horse.
Horse legs are a bad
Oh,
leg.
I mean, I think if you chose horse, you would be a centaur. You would just.
I get all 4
be
legs.
Yeah.
Oh, I get all
Interesting.
4 legs.
Yeah.
So who's the best legs to have, regardless? A centipede.
Number.
Ooh.
I just be
That
a
would be terrifying.
man, half body, coming off a giant,
But I also
3-foot-high centipede
See-
that goes back like 40 feet.
New definition
no,
of
no.
human centipede. It's just you with a bunch of centipede legs.
Yeah.
I'd
I'd
more-
like, I come into the office like, hold the door open. Scuttle, 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 scuttle. Can somebody please hold the door open? Ow! Oh! Scuttle, scuttle.
I'm imagining that the centipede is actually like centipede size, and like your torso has to taper down.
I hate that.
Yeah, that's just like I'm laying on my side with a centipede hanging off my butt. That's great.
That's scary.
That's real bad. Actual answer, Sam.
I mean, a spider would be cool.
No!
You could climb up stuff.
If you come
you-
in here with a spider butt, you're fired.
If you're thinking from a purely practical standpoint,
I guess
right?
you don't like.
Well, you
climb
couldn't climb
walls.
stuff because you'd have to be small to climb stuff. I
No,
think.
no.
You don't
Let's just say
think so?
that you can.
You have the
couldn't, but
abilities.
let's say you can.
I'd pick a kangaroo anyway.
That was my first thought.
Yeah,
Kangaroo was
fun.
my first thought.
Yeah, kangaroo is my first thought also.
We all
because
want
of
kangaroo
the
bipedal.
bodies.
bipedal, those
Yeah.
thick thighs, you gotta like you jump
Yeah.
really far. I don't
Looks
know.
fun.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
are
you
very
can
muscular.
Kick the shit out of people.
Yeah, you can beat people up real
Yeah,
good.
rip their
Yeah.
jaws right off. Wait,
Whoa, can they do that?
Control Z.
Wow.
I don't like it.
Very specific.
Wow, I don't like you when you've become a centipede.
Yeah, yeah.
Very violent.
Just as a kangaroo. No, the
Yeah, I guess kangaroo.
Can I be like bottom half kangaroo, top half centipede?
Whoa. Oh,
That's even worse because then the pouch just tapers off to like a little.
Oh, a tiny little head.
oh man.
So I like this
Okay.
hypothetical. I appreciate you deeply for having brought it to us. Why?
I thought somebody might choose a snake.
Oh, I was thinking legs.
Yeah, yeah. You guys stayed
Is Jerry
very
Seinfeld?
Humanoid.
Yeah.
Are snakes good at walking?
Well, they are good at moving in some environments that people with legs would not be.
Okay.
Right.
So there's a project called SERPEX, which is funded by the ESA.
The European Space Agency? Okay.
And they're not actually carrying it out. There's a few other organizations that are doing the research with it. But they're basically trying to figure out how they can use snake robots for exploring other planets.
Ooh.
And so they're basically looking into whether they can pair it with a traditional rover, because like a rover with wheels can traverse more distance, but then the snake could potentially get into like more crevices or like go burrow or whatever, like has more options and can be tethered to the rover. So it acts as sort of an extension, allowing it to explore more things that it wouldn't be able to otherwise. And I don't know if it was inspired because of this, but the Spirit rover, the reason that mission ended was because it got stuck in soft soil and then couldn't get out.
Yeah.
So
It's a danger.
it's a danger. Yeah.
Can you imagine driving your little Mars rover into it and just being like, it's not going forward anymore. Can we try reverse? It's not going backward anymore. Can we try forward? Turn the wheels.
AAA.
Just AAA. Call it
Yeah.
AAA. I thought you were talking about the batteries, and I was like, I think they got better than AAA's on that baby.
We got at least D batteries on that.
it's like four Ds. It's like a boombox.
Oh, they should put a boombox on those things. I don't know why. Just seems like it would be
Well,
cool.
apparently, this Curiosity can sing a little song, and on its first
Yeah,
birthday, it sang itself
that's
happy
right.
birthday on the surface of Mars.
Did it?
That's
Actu-
sad.
It is kind of sad.
Just a
What a
little
loser.
Everybody kind of reacts one of two ways to that. Either it's like, oh, that's neat,
so cool.
or like, oh.
It doesn't have any friends.
It doesn't have any feelings either, is the good news. It's
Maybe.
alive, but not noticeably.
Yeah, it doesn't matter yet.
But it could also be the robot snakes could be partnered with astronauts, so they're on like a spacewalk or something, and then they have this like
Snake
Right.
buddies.
snake buddy that they can deploy.
Yeah, that
What's
was
the
a
snake
thing in a
Pokemon?
science fiction book I was
Ekans,
Ekans, Arbok.
Arbok. There's probably
yeah.
plenty more at this
Probably
point.
Yeah.
more. Viper.
Oh, I don't know that one.
That's 4th gen.
Oh my, yeah.
Smokemon.
Smokemon? Is that one?
Yeah, it's a snake Pokemon, and he smokes a lot of weed.
Yeah.
Really? That's a thing?
Yep.
Uh-huh. I know nothing about Pokemon. You
okay.
know what? I know
I
nothing
don't
about
know.
Pokemon.
But-
Gotta
What's
catch
this one
them.
I don't know
But-
what you do
That's all
with
I
your
know.
child.
You did go to
Learn about
Amsterdam and see lots
Pokemon?
of T-shirts probably with that on
Yeah.
it, because I did.
But yeah, so they're looking into like other kinds of animals too, potentially, like because there's different animals are going to be suited to different environments. I mean, this isn't really an animal, but on Titan, because of the low atmospheric pressure, like drones are suited to that. And I think we talked about on SciShow Space, like the sending like some kind of eel submarine thing into Europa's oceans,
Ugh,
which
that'd
would
be
be
the
cool.
coolest, neatest thing.
Yeah.
But it seems really, I don't know, like there's something about going into an ocean that feels like a violation. I don't know. Like it seems to me like if there is a warm, wet place, there's just gonna be life there. It's gonna be full of weird, gooey, like weird, like fish ducks.
We've already contaminated stuff, though. Like, I feel like our
Yeah,
rovers have already contaminated
Well,
stuff.
no, yeah,
so-
but not like the subsurface
Not-
oceans of
that's fair.
Enceladus.
Well, it's going to be sterilized.
I don't know, man. You can never get 100%.
No, not
sterilized.
100%.
I think
gonna-
we should just do it. Why not?
Go for it.
Yeah.
Chances are our life can't survive there anyways.
I don't know.
I don't know.
know.
It does seem weirder.
It's
it does
just
seem
so
like we
yeah,
could
if
pollute
we're
a whole
actually
ocean.
going into a wet water place.
Is it water? It's not.
Yeah,
like,
subsurface oceans, man. Like
Okay.
100% liquid oceans.
Okay.
Like as big as the oceans on Earth. Possibly with like hydrothermal vents and stuff. I'm just like, this is alive.
That's
I don't know. It might not be alive, but I want to go, but I don't want to mess it up.
If we don't mess it up, no one's going to.
Yes! The human condition.
That's good. Yeah, that's a good tagline for
It's a real good
humans.
tagline. I feel that way so hard. You are right. I operate with that mindset a lot of moments in which I make bad decisions, but in some moments in which I make good decisions.
Mm-hmm.
It's really I get at that getting that
trying.
tattooed on me.
I have a question about the snakes. Are they
Yeah.
modeling it after different snakes, or is it like one? Because there's
it's-
sidewinders or whatever.
Yeah, in that
different-
sense, it's not like biomimicry in that we're looking at specific species. I don't think it just seems like they're generically looking at snake style locomotion, where like a robot with a bunch of segments that
Can push
can
it
maneuver on multiple axes. But yeah, it's still like early stages. Like they have a couple prototypes, but it's all like flat ground so far. And they need to. They're still trying to figure out like what kind of sensors they need to like adequately represent the environment to the device.
So nobody's getting snake legs?
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
Yet.
That was a
Yet.
big fake out.
Yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
But one of the things they
new spacesuits. Like new SpaceX design spacesuits. It's just like a capsule and then a big
A
snake
big
leg.
snake body.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just goes up for like 30 feet behind you. And
Just like
I mean,
slither
really,
away.
it's
Snake.
just a mermaid. Then.
Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Space
If
snake.
anyone would do it, Elon Musk would. It's solidified
Out there in
his
his like snake costume with like weird nitrogen thrusters
Yeah.
onto it.
Yeah.
Listening
Like,
to Rocket Man over and over again.
Yeah.
They come out during a press conference in his big snake suit.
Oh my god! But it's
Hey,
like,
guys.
but it's like 2340, and he's 300 years old.
Yeah. He's been freeze dried and rehydrated a couple times.
Yeah, and he's drinking the
my.
blood of the young. Who's that? Richard Teal. Those two teamed up.
Who does?
Richard Teal?
Oh,
Teal?
does he drink the blood of the young?
He's figuring out how to do it to keep himself young forever.
He's figuring out how to drink the blood of the young. It's not hard.
Well,
You just get the blood of the young and you drink it.
you probably have to drink it with like other parts of your body.
What, like up my ass?
It could be probably more like veins or something.
Veins. Oh.
That would kill
Just-
him, maybe, unless it's the same blood type.
That's why he's got to figure it out.
He's working
He's
on
got to
it.
get the youth juice and then inject
I don't
that
want all
straight
the
in.
blood, just the youth juice. He's
Just
just
the young
injecting
blood.
the youth juice into him, which
If
definitely
you
sounds
rebrand
like
it youth
semen.
juice, no one's going to complain about it because no one's going
Oh
to think
my
it's blood. It's
Right.
youth juice.
Youth juice
Yeah, you
with Elon Musk and a space snake.
Yeah. He needs all the tubing for extra youth juice so he can fly through space
In the
forever.
snake tail.
Yeah.
That's how we're going to make it to
Juice is
Mars.
the worst two words you can put together. If anybody in the comments, tell us two words to put together that are worse than youth juice.
Youth juice. I like it. It's a powerful brand.
I mean, that's true.
All right.
Wait. I got one more thing, which I
Okay.
thought was really cool. Was they were also talking about the possibility of using these on the ISS to like slither into like the components, the electrical like parts, so they can like do repairs or whatever.
Yeah.
Ooh, like
Which
an
made me think of Star
astromech
Trek
droid.
and like Jeffrey's tubes or something.
Well, I think
like
that they
you're just,
have.
like,
They even
getting
have
up in
things
there.
like that for sewers. To
Yeah,
like,
I
to
mean,
inspect,
I guess like
yeah, sewer lines.
toilet snakes are kind of.
Yeah, I
It's
guess.
totally
It's like-
different. It's not what a toilet snake is. But
I feel like Sam knows what a toilet snake is better than maybe the rest of us do.
you never had to snake a toilet.
I don't think I have.
I've just seen them snaked. They're just big things you put in. They go,
Yeah.
and the thing goes, which you could maybe adapt that technology into robot snakes that could clean your toilet. I don't
Yeah.
know.
You
Yeah,
should.
yeah.
Yeah,
for
'Cause-
reals.
I like
I don't
one
wanna touch
thing
the
that I
toilet.
think a robot should do
it's cleaning the toilet.
is like shit stuff.
Totally fair.
Handle the shit stuff, robots.
Oh.
100%. You do that because it's not good.
Yeah.
There's Clostridium down there.
What's that?
It's like a intestinal parasite,
Oh.
or I think it's a bacteria, but it gives you bad disease.
Oh, you don't want to hug your toilet robot.
No. Don't
No.
hug your toilet robot. That's Sam's tagline.
They're gonna make them cute. You know that.
You could probably hug it if you washed yourself really, really
Oh
well
my
afterward
God.
and didn't like touch
Yeah,
your
washed it
mucous
really well
membranes.
beforehand.
Lick your
and
hands
don't
after
put
you
it,
wash
Yeah,
don't put it,
don't kiss your
don't
toilet
kiss,
robot.
don't put your toilet robot on any of your mucous membranes.
It's gonna say that on the box.
Warning.
Yeah.
Warning.
You know they're gonna make them really cute.
Don't make him
Warning.
cute.
Big
Don't
Google
fuck
Glass.
your toilet robot.
What? I wouldn't have even
Not.
thought about
I did not go
You
there.
started at hugs. We went to kisses. Where are you going to go next? This is how humans work. Who's going to mess it up if not us?
Happy Valentine's
Someone's
Day.
gonna fuck that toilet robot. Might as well be me. Then you roll up your sleeves and get to work.
So
Okay.
Sarah suggests baby gravy as
Baby
two-
Oh,
gravy
that's
is
worse.
bad, but I don't think it's as bad as youth juice.
Baby gravy's worse than
I feel like
juice.
I
youth
also-
juice is worse.
I feel like youth juice edges it out. Baby gravy is pretty bad too.
Baby gravy just sounds like
makes me just think
diarrhea.
of, yeah,
gravy.
exactly. It's just when your
Oh.
baby has a bad poop.
Yeah.
That's so bad, though.
Which I'm going to use that as soon as I get home because Oren's having bad poops right now.
Oh.
Gravy.
Baby gravy with the youth juice. This is Hank Green coming at you with a quick one because we've already been recording for an hour. So we know a problem. Here's one. Sometimes birds fly into windows and they die.
Oh, yeah.
It happens a lot with skyscrapers, especially, and in big cities, there are even areas where birds are collected as part of like science, where they'll go and be like, it's like a sampling thing, where they're like, well, the birds tend to fall here. We'll go and check, and every 6 months we'll come by, collect the birds, and see what species we have.
Yeah.
The school I went to in Chicago always had a ring of dead birds around it because it was right next to like a city park that all the birds would hang out in, and then they'd fly away, boonk, right into the window. And they were really pretty birds too. But I think that the Natural History Museum would come and collect them and bring them to.
So there are things that birds do not fly into, and this is very interesting to me. So there are organisms that build delicate things that they don't want birds to fly into. Like, what would that be?
Spider.
Spiders. And spiders actually, certain spider species have evolved ways of making the web more invisible to insects, but more visible to birds by making them visible in ultraviolet light. So the birds can see in not all birds, I think not all birds, but some birds can see in ultraviolet light. And so they make these webs like bright in ultraviolet. So the birds won't fly into them because birds don't want to fly into spider webs because then you
That'd be
walk into a
gross.
spider web,
Yeah.
you're like, nah, is there a spider on me now? And the birds don't want that.
And the spider doesn't want it either because
Yeah.
the bird would just eat it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or just, be like, yeah, there's a bird, there's a spider on me. And the spider's like, there's a bird on me. And it's no good. Nobody likes it. So a group of people at an architecture firm used this to create sort of like spider webby designs in glass that you can't see if you're a
Ultraviolets.
human,
Oh.
but if you're a bird, you can see them. And
Where
so
is this?
This is where is it? It's they're Germans.
Okay.
And the Arnold Glass Company copied the spiders and glazed their Ornilux brand glass with a web-like
Ooh.
pattern of ultraviolet reflective coating.
Does it have to be spiderweb shaped for them to want to avoid it, or is it
No,
just
it's just like
That's
I,
just
I
a
think that you
cool-
can
That's just the
kind of
flash.
see it. Like you can a little bit see it if you're a human being. You can see the coating is on there, and so
Yeah.
they sort of want to make it a nice looking pattern.
got it?
But yeah, it's just sort of anything to make it clear that this is glass and not. This is an object that you cannot fly
Yeah.
through.
I thought bugs could see. So not all bugs can see
I think
in
some
ultraviolet.
bugs can
Like
and some
bees
bugs
can.
can't.
Bees can.
But I also think that bugs aren't necessarily looking out for that when they're trying to avoid a spider web.
Right.
I think bugs are attracted to ultraviolet probably because that usually means flowers, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
then they're like, yum, food.
Ah,
And then
double
spider-
double bonus.
So it's good in both ways.
Maybe. I don't know.
How did they
I'm
figure
not-
out how to do that?
I'm not a spider. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah,
Their butts figured it out.
Yeah, how did their butts
Their
know?
butts figured it out. I want to let's introduce you to this concept in evolutionary biology. It's called natural selection, and it's how everything happened.
Okay, but
Yeah, but that's a crazy one.
I mean, that's crazy, but also like butterflies starts out as a freaking like weird worm,
That's
And
crazy too.
dissolves
I am not
itself.
and then
denying
dissolves
that.
itself inside of a thing to turn into a different thing.
Yeah.
That's weirder.
Yeah.
Way weirder than being
Whichever-
like, oh, my spider web's a
Yeah.
different color.
But they didn't even know it was a problem they had.
They'll know. They never know.
Yeah, it
Only
just comes
humans,
about.
very, very small number of animals know that they have a problem.
This is why I don't believe science is real.
I don't understand.
It's a simulation.
I need to put Sam in a room with me for 2 hours and just go
I've
over
watched
Darwin
almost
real
every
quick.
video you've ever made.
You don't think science is real?
There's people in the comments who've watched every video you've ever made who also don't believe science is real.
We need to get all of those people together.
No, I believe science is real.
I'm
Science
going to
is just
create a
probability.
grant. Science is probability.
Yeah.
Science is humans.
And
then we messed
aliens,
stuff
maybe
up. I don't
aliens
remember the
too.
quote.
And maybe aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to get that tattooed on me.
He doesn't think science is real. Do you
I
think
do. I think it's
think-
real.
I think
I mean,
Sam's putting on some flash for the podcast.
Okay, good. Because
Yeah.
And
otherwise,
UV on your forehead. It says science isn't real.
Yeah, all those birds will know I don't think science is real. And they won't come talk to
On
me.
your windows, you could have secret messages.
just to birds,
the
and the birds will be like, "I think science is fake too. The moon landing is bullshit."
Yeah.
Sam and birds hanging out talking about the moon landing and vaccines and flat Earth.
I believe in vaccines.
Not the Earth being round, though. That's ridiculous.
Science is still out on that.
I'll get you some books.
I
Remedial
don't.
course.
Can they be audiobooks?
Yes.
Okay.
You'll just
But-
alternate talking
but-
into your ears for like 5
Yeah,
minutes.
yeah.
Okay, Sam, biology 101.
Yeah, Ceri will take that ear, and I'll do chemistry in the other ear. It'll be simultaneous.
Oh my God.
I believe. Whoa. Okay. I would do that. I believe in science, but I'd still do that. To see
We
if I
just
learn
installed a
stuff.
bunch of like really tiny rooms in our offices so
Oh,
that
yeah.
people can have phone calls in them and
Mm-hmm.
not be distracting other people when they work in co-working spaces. And so we're just gonna rent one of those out. It's gonna be 100% just Sam's in there with Ceri and me whispering into his ears about chemistry and biology.
Yeah, I won't have.
Sounds like an ASMR experience. I'm into it.
But
Our
you have to
other
be
job.
dressed as a giant snake, though.
I think we could rotate people in if they wanted to be in the snake costume. It's like
Oh,
Right.
and we can chug some youth
it's
juice.
the science chamber filled with whispers of knowledge.
Whispers of knowledge. Whispers of knowledge is our new ASMR channel. Holy shit! Can we have an ASMR channel where it's called Whispers of Knowledge?
It's all the SciShow scripts, but you just whisper them all.
Yes.
Can I host it?
Yeah. I mean, do you want to ask? Is your mouth suitably dry?
Yes. My mouth's
No,
always
you
dry.
can't be
I have to drink a
too
lot of water.
dry. You
gotta
gotta
have
get
that,
a
like-
little bit
Sticky.
Yeah, it's got to be a little
If
sticky.
I feel like you get that from a dry mouth, not
Yeah,
like
drier.
not like made of
yeah, you're
drier.
right.
I'm not saying that you.
I'm thinking like bone dry.
Oh God.
No, then you just make
like cinnamon
clicks.
challenge mouth.
Ooh.
Yeah. You'd be like,
Oh.
I'm gonna teach you about spiders while I'm cutting your hair. Spiders
Spider.
are arachnids.
What was it called? Whispers of Knowledge?
Whispers of knowledge.
I don't know. Do you think we can make a bunch of money doing this? Because if we can make money doing it, I'll do it.
ASMR science.
Yeah.
I think if you
Maybe.
like put effort into the production of it, I feel like all the fancy ASMR channels
Are really
have
nice
like have like.
Well, you just
it's
gotta
like-
get
I
one
don't
of
know.
those 3DO.
We could easily match their production values. All I need is one of those things with the ears
Binaural
on
ears.
it. A binaural
Yeah.
thing with the ears on it, so that I can lick the ears sometimes. And so that
I'm glad Sam's offering his tongue up to this situation.
Yeah, it could be like I could. Oh, I have a lot of ideas for this.
All right. All right. Well, you come back to me with a budget, I'll let you know. Whispers of knowledge.
There are at least 2 ASMR, and that's not, just kidding, just one. I was gonna say 2. There are at least 2 ASMR cinnamon challenge videos, but this one is 2 seconds long, so that does not count.
How do you do a 2-second
I don't
cinnamon
know.
challenge?
This guy's eating a bowl of ice water.
And
Is it-
whispering.
And
That doesn't
I'm
sound
very
right.
confused.
So
It seems like
All
he's
right.
reacting
what
to
if
things. Okay,
instead of a
never mind.
YouTube channel, it's a subscription service called
Mhm.
Whispers of Science, and you pay us $5 a month, and you get science delivered
Why is
directly and quietly delivered to your ears.
Yeah, maybe. I don't like ASMR, so
Ceri's out.
I am not in the I'm not in the demographic that would
You'd have to
enjoy
write
this
the
channel.
scripts probably.
I could
though.
do the scripts, yeah. I can do the
Yeah.
words for it, but I just wouldn't tell if, like, is this a pleasing experience? Is it not?
That's more up to the performer.
And what you're into.
Which is apparently Sam.
Yeah, it's me.
Yeah.
If maybe you want your ears cleaned, maybe you want.
While hearing science.
While hearing
Yeah.
science about, would the science be
Well,
relevant to the activity or not?
Sure, I
Oh.
could talk about ears.
Yeah. So
I
like,
could clean a dinosaur bone
Well,
while I talk about dinosaurs.
because there's a lot of
Yeah.
role play things, so you could be like,
I could have a
I'm
pith
like
helmet on.
in the lab and I'm looking through a microscope.
like
and,
little bubbles.
I don't know.
Little Bunsen burner.
Bunsen burner noises.
flames.
I'm
I don't know,
relaxed already.
pipetting.
Yeah, it's getting nice and chilling.
No,
here.
we
pipetting.
steal our
Yeah.
ideas.
Just like
Centrifuge.
Science noise.
Uh-huh.
Nope, you're out too.
Okay, everybody. I think that we
We
did
did
it
it.
good. I think that we did it
did
good.
all
It's
right.
been a really good time here at Only Fucking Science. This podcast is available for a live stream if you want to watch it live. If you're a SciShow Patreon patron at patreon.com/SciShow. Thanks to all the people who hung out and watched us live for the bits that get cut out, where Sam is like, I forgot what my story
Shut up!
was.
I did forget. I had a lot to do today.
I did too, but I researched.
Yeah, but
Boom! Fight! Fight!
I had to move my whole desk. Well, not my desk. Alyssa's stuff.
I
Let
researched.
us know on Twitter or in the comments of the video if you're watching it in video form what animal you'd put on your bottom half. Because that's a real good question,
The
Stefan.
only right answer is kangaroo, though.
The only right answer is whatever you think the right answer is. Thank you to Caitlin for being behind the camera and the soundboard, making the noises work for us. And thank you to everybody for watching. Thank you to Big Sky Brewery for being our sponsor. We have been drinking beer. The Shake a Day seems to be the popular choice for me and Sam
It's a
today.
good one.
It is good. And they are available all over the country in the U.S., Moose Drool being their most popular flavor. You can find that, and it's delicious. I am Hank Green,
I'm Stefan Chin.
I'm Sam Schultz.
I'm Ceri Riley.
and this has been
Holy Fucking Science.